So now.
Yeah, I got fucking mosquito. How's this? Look, I moved the step.
Can you see me in the frame? How's everybody doing today? This is Josh with Something Metal, and I'm sitting here today with the Knottie Boys. Guys, introduce yourselves.
Hi, I'm Dan.
I'm Tom.
Nikki. I'm Ryan.
So how you guys doing today?
Doing pretty good. We just got home from the studio, our fourth session.
And what were you guys doing over at the studio today?
Your mom. Nikki's really funny. we were recording our debut album, Modern Day Vampire. This is our fourth session. It was going to be our final, but I'm a loser.
Why would you say that? Why can somebody tell me he's a loser?
Well, you see, sometimes he doesn't wear the right underwear. You know, I tell him to wear clean ones, but, I don't know, he likes the brown stains. It's not poo, though. He just keeps chocolate in his underwear drawer. Or I can tell you some other reasons, you know.
Well, he's not a loser. He's a very precious boy. And he sings like a goddamn angel. But he tried to sing all the songs in one session. And that's crazy. That's insane. And we almost made it, but we didn't quite make it.
So what is the name of the album that you guys are recording?
Modern Day Vampire.
I was gonna continue, but
And what can we look to hearing on that album, on Modern Day Vampire?
Mischief.
Yeah, Mischief.
Mayhem.
Mayhem. Well, we had to rehearse this.
And the Modern Day Vampire. It's the three things it's about.
Yeah, but that's not what we're hearing. We're hearing punk tunes and fun tunes.
What's your
Yeah,
favorite?
It's gonna be 12 tracks of just pure uncut rock, no Swedish trap beats or anything like that.
So my first question right after that is, who came up with the name the Knottie Boys?
I did.
That was
Nick did?
That was me.
I didn't know
It was I.
And could you tell us what it actually means? Is there a meaning behind that?
So originally I wanted to call the band the Crippy Boys, but it wasn't good. I had a few other names and stuff, and then out of nowhere at work I came up with the Knottie Boys. And originally it was because me and Dan, because my hair was longer, we had really like naughty, shitty long hair. And I was like, oh, that works. And also naughty sounds kind of gay, and it was funny. But then, you know, Knottie Boys kind of turned into like more of like a Jackassy type thing, more than just our hair, but it kind of still works because our hair sucks sometimes.
And I also wanted to ask you, Nick, you do a lot of the art for the band, don't you?
He made the shirt you're wearing right now.
That's true.
Yes, that's true. He is the artist of the shirt that I'm wearing, as well as some of the design right there. How do you get a lot of the inspiration to most of the artwork?
Well, I like a lot of early 2000s cartoons, and then also a lot of like artists like Rob Zombie and just like Ed Roth, stuff like that, so just gross stuff. And then I kind of like a lot of like very slick cartoons, so I kind of mix the gross and the sleek together to try and create like just a fun, goofy thing.
So kind of like amateur works, or more just like 90s Nickelodeon style stuff?
I guess 90s Nickelodeon. Also a lot of Mad Magazine type stuff, but also most of my art is designed to be done like really quick. So I don't really like spend hours and hours on any piece. I just kind of like spend like a few minutes sketching it and then just fuck with the colors and shit.
Now, Dan, I actually understand for a while in the beginning you were doing both guitars and you were doing vocals for the band, isn't that right?
Yeah, I was for a good amount of time. That was because we had met Ryan, but I don't think that we didn't really think to have him play it. Like, that just kind of wasn't the thought we had. And then, you know, Ryan was just kind of like, we saw how like passionate he was about music and stuff, and it was just like, he obviously wants to play shows, like, you know, that's like the most fucking fun thing to do in the world. So we just kind of had him for like a couple shows, and now he's just kind of part of it. And at first we were just gonna have one guitar on the record, but then when we were just messing around playing the songs with the two guitars, Ryan was able to come up with some really cool fucking parts that I wouldn't have been able to come up with myself. So it's like, he adds a nice thing to the songs that I don't think I would think to put in, you know?
He also recorded our first set.
He also what?
He also recorded our first set.
Is that so?
Yeah, the one at the what the
Martini.
hell was it? Martini.
Yeah,
Martini opening for the Ice Cold.
And I understand, like before, you were not always the guitarist for the group. I understand you weren't also the, at the time, drummer. How did they go about approaching you guys for that?
Well,
He was the first.
actually,
drummer,
I was
yeah.
the first drummer. There was a period of time where I wasn't the drummer, like that when I went up to college. But yeah, no, I was the first drummer. And actually, the way that ended up happening was we were on the same bus to school, so that's how we knew each other. From that.
Oh, well, I started working at Hot Topic where I met these lovely boys, and we just started talking about ghosts and stuff, and then I joined the band.
Now, due to the recent events, with COVID and everything, I actually wanted to ask, how has the quarantine and how has COVID-19 affected you guys when it comes to making music and performing? Because I know that for a while, most of the shows that you guys had planned were cut back.
Well, I feel like, if anything, I cut you. If anything, I feel like COVID actually kind of helped us, like, come up with a lot of stuff, because even though we haven't practiced as much as we probably would have liked, especially during the big quarantine months, we had a lot of time to really sit and think about the songs that we had, and by the time we actually did get back together to practice is when Ryan wrote some of those really cool parts, and like he came up with these really fresh new parts, and it just kind of everything works really well together, and I'd say that it helped us.
I also wanted to ask you guys, because during that same quarantine you had released the Slightly Acoustic EP on YouTube, which was a different take from at least what I know about your music as compared to hearing it played live. What was that like, recording all your songs acoustically?
I mean, that was pretty normal for me because most of the time when I write, I just have the acoustic and I just play it because it's easier to. It's a lot easier to just fucking pick up your acoustic than it is to plug in your electric guitar. That's 2 whole cables you gotta plug in, man. That's a lot. So to me it was kind of normal, but it was also weird because it was just me and Nikki in my basement, just like staring at each other while he like held the phone and I just played the song. So that was kind of weird.
I also wanted to ask you how you guys define your music, because a lot of the songs, as compared to Walt Disney and Chronic Masturbator and a couple other songs that you guys have, you guys go from one way to a completely other when it goes to the vibe of playing live. How would you yourselves describe how your music is?
I feel, so we started out being really inspired by things like the Sex Pistols, so originally I called us like more of a classic rock meets a couple 90s punk bands like NoFX, to kind of have like that energetic vibe. But we started bringing a lot more influences in, because in the beginning we were just very kind of one-track mind. We're like, we make a punk band, we make punk songs. And then we all just kind of started writing things and having new things. Dan had a lot of songs that he had written both in high school and a bunch of things, and like it wasn't the punk like we thought we were gonna make. It just became like its own thing. We kind of consider ourselves, we're punk, but I feel like we kind of lean also a bit more into that alternative group.
What do
you guys think?
Punk is an
I would say that we're just to make it the easiest, I would just call us a punk band, because I think that we're just gonna make things that are under the punk umbrella. We're not gonna worry about subgenres, like, because if you called us a pop punk band, people would be confused when they hear songs like Pistol and Empty Pockets on the record. But if you call us a hardcore band, people are gonna be really fucking confused when they hear Romeo and Juliet. It's like, So I would just say we're just in the punk umbrella, and we just kind of write songs that are under that, whether it's, more on the harder side, the poppier side, folk punk, I mean, we don't have a folk punk song. We're working.
It's more like free.
If you hear something,
It's free form.
It's like freeform fun.
Freeform
It's
fun?
just it's freeform chaos, honestly, because we just come up with whatever sounds cool, whatever we think is funnest to play, and eventually that turns into real good music.
I actually wanted to throw an interesting question out to you guys. Do you have any pre-show rituals, and do you happen to have any post-show rituals as to what gets you really warmed up to play a gig, and maybe what do you guys do after you perform?
I'll smoke before a show, and then cigarettes.
We sometimes drink. We do that sometimes.
I don't drink before.
What do you do?
shows.
See, I like to drink before a show because it loosens up my bones. He just smokes. Dan drives, so he doesn't drink, and neither does the Thomas.
Do you partake in any pre-show rituals?
No, nothing in particular. Maybe I should.
Yeah,
Yeah,
maybe
you know.
maybe you should. Yeah, no,
Get into,
honestly, I
like-
just kind of walk around and mosh a bit sometimes if there's a if there's a
Well, no, because Ryan likes to suck our manager's wee-wee in the, in the bathroom a lot of times. You know, that's like, he just does that to kind of get ready for it, you know?
That's not true.
Gets his adrenaline up.
Which of you is by far probably the one that writes most of the material for the group? I wanted to ask Dan, where do you find a lot of inspiration to write about your songs?
I just kind of put myself into situations, you know, like songs like "Do It Again." It's like I'm not, and I never really have been, and I don't think I ever will be. Hopefully, but I can put myself in the shoes of like somebody that it's just there's
Going
just
through a
some
problem.
there's just you just keep going through the same thing, and every time you get out of like that shitty rain cloud, and yet you look back every time, you're like, that was kind of fun, and then you like just kind of slow down and get back into it, and you don't really know why or you don't care, and that's just an example. It's like, so I just kind of put myself in the shoes of shitty situations.
Well, I feel like a lot of the songs that you at least had in the beginning was a lot more about like the high school experience and just stuff we kind of dealt with. Nothing like as simple as like bullying or this or that. More of just the those weird feelings of adolescence and stuff. Especially given that we all got into punk at the same time. Like me and Dan both started listening to the same bands, and that's when we started the band. So it was kind of our idea of what we thought punk was. I don't know.
I also wanted to ask, are there any perhaps movies and TV shows that inspired any of your songs?
Definitely Jackass.
Yes.
Definitely Jackass. I don't know.
Inspired a lot of stuff.
Really? Well, that's cool. Talk to him. What?
He got to say.
No, I didn't have anything else to say.
I thought I cut you off.
No. Continue.
About how I always describe us as High School meets Mad Max. So I guess Mad Max too, huh?
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't do that.
I think stylistically is what he means, because we're all like ragged guys who like spikes and like old rust. We like old rusty shit. Yeah.
So the last question I'll leave this off with is, right now I know that you guys are doing the record and everything. By far, what is your favorite song that you are doing, and what does it mean to you?
It's hard to pick, because like every time I'm in the studio and I hear like how the other one's coming out, I'm like, oh fuck, that one's really cool. But I'd say right now my favorite is probably Backpack, just because that one's like the most catchy to me. I love singing that one and playing the guitar on that. That's like probably my favorite one.
I'd say right now my favorite is NPR. I just think that one sounds like super badass as it is right now. So like we weren't actually gonna put that song on the album until like the day before our first session. We timed how much time we have with all the songs, and we were like, that's not that long, and we had NPR but like not fully completed, and we were like, well, why don't we just finish NPR? So like the day before our first studio session, we finished writing that song, and I think it ended up turning out awesome.
Yeah, we were mainly missing the bridge and like just making the whole song feel a lot more fleshed out, So we wrote the bridge, and that the whole song just kind of fell into place. It worked. Just kind of natural. You're gonna ask me about my favorite song?
Oh yeah.
Oh well, it's probably gonna be "Do It Again." Mainly because when that was like kind of like the first song that like I was part of, the writing process at least, like he came up with this really cool like guitar part, and then we were like just shooting ideas back and forth, and within like the same afternoon we had a song that just felt really kick-ass, and every time I play that song live, honestly, I feel like tearing the venue to shreds, so it's
And what about you, Nick? What is by far your favorite track, and what does it mean to you?
I feel like it would be Growing Pains. It changes all the time, same with like what Dan was saying, but when I first heard Growing Pains, Dan played it acoustic, and it just like it blew my mind because it just feels so personal. It feels so just there's a lot of emotion in it, and you don't get that for a lot of songs. But like it was the first one that I heard where it was like, wow, this is like a lot of things just pushed into one song. I don't know how to explain it, but it's good.
Now, this is where I'm going to leave the interview off, but I also understand you guys have recently dropped some merch. Would you happen to have a link to that merch?
Yeah, say it at the same time. Come on. Well, yeah,
If you
just
go to our
Instagram.
There's
There's
our bio.
yeah,
We have a link tree,
to-
and there's a Redbubble
and a Threadless, yeah.
You guys can definitely support the Knottie Boys. I will leave a link for their Instagram down below. Thank you all for watching. I am Josh, and this was Something Metal.